Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome along to episode 91 of the Sofa Manager Scottish Football Podcast. And there is only one thing we can talk about this week, and it is, of course, the Auld enemy derby. Scotland versus England at Euro 2020 on Friday night, meanwhile it's 21. Game that very much united the nation, and we have lots of interesting things to talk about from a multiple or from different perspectives. I think we were all watching actually a different broadcast stream of it, so we'll discuss who had the better view of the pundits and the commentary team, interestingly enough, and we're also going to discuss who won the tactical battle between Stevie Clarke and Gareth Southgate, as well as what we thought of the performances of the players. A lot of people being hyped up, so we'll discuss some of those names. We will also discuss as to whether we think Scotland are going to qualify for the rest of the tournament, and how everyone else is getting on, and some of the interesting things we've seen around social media and things like that. Also this week there's going to be a wee quiz. I got a bit carried away on Friday and ordered a Scotland shirt with a certain name and number on it, so John and Andrew, who are joining me here tonight, will be tasked with guessing what name and number went on said shirt. So stay tuned for that. Leave a comment down below as to what you think it was just now. Good luck with that. And we will also be ranking some of the Euro 2020 home tops in a tier list. So stay tuned for all that. Anyway, joining me on this week's show, as I mentioned earlier, we have the man more likely to wake up next to a used smoke bomb than a brightly coloured thought. Perhaps not such a bad idea. It is our man on the ground in London, John Brown. Hello, John.
Hello, Paul. How are you doing?
Good. Have you suitably recovered from your excerpts on Thursday or on Friday evening? Sorry.
I'm getting there, I think is the best way to describe it.
I presume the news pictures were of you cleaning up Leicester Square, yes?
No.
Oh. This is a wonderful job for the sofamanager.co.uk PR.
Oh, no.
So we'll hear all about John's experiences a little bit later on. He has many stories to tell, particularly from the look at his Instagram story. And also, alongside us, it is the man with more fake kits. Kits. K-I-T-S. Fake kits than a Mediterranean market salesman. It is Andrew Menzies. Hello, Andrew.
Hello.
Oh, you've got quite the collection recently, don't you?
Yes, more fake, but they're cheaper, easier to wear. Happy days.
Okay, with brands and everything. Heaven knows how they're getting away with them. And myself, the tongue-twisted host and freshly vaccinated, by the way. So if there's ever any coughs, splutters during the episode, that's the reason why. But anyway, shall we get straight on with things?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So, first of all, I've got on my structured list here. What did that result mean to us? Obviously, Scotland 0, England 0 at Wembley Stadium. First time we've played them there since the late 90s?
No, 2017.
Yep. 2017?
Yeah.
I don't recall that fixture. Oh well. We will focus on that as the build-up done. Andrew, we'll start with you. What did that result mean to you?
I think it's one of those where it wasn't as if it was a friendly leading up to it, but compared to the first game, I never had high hopes. They exceeded everything that I expected they'd be able to do, because again, I set the bar quite low after the first game, but overall, from everyone, I think it was brilliant, to be fair. Because it was full of 50-50s, it was battling here, there and everywhere, and it was just the way that you want to see them play.
Okay, I like that statement. Optimism is the enemy of hope. John, you were on the ground. What did that game mean to you?
Now, I don't remember a huge amount of the game itself, for very simple reasons. I didn't want to remember the game before the game, so I got quite drunk. Wasn't horrendously bad, but I kind of got to my stage where I watched most of the game through my fingers at the back of a bar in London with my mate Gary, and it was tense beyond belief. For myself, it was a case of just don't get beat, and in happy days, it's a success in everyone's book. Thankfully, we got it. London was an absolute riot. What a party. He's missed out big time, boys. It was absolutely brilliant. From start to finish, we were there for 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I think we left Leicester Square about 11 o'clock at night, maybe about 11:30, and it was still going when we left. So, brilliant day.
So you often down south are a bit of you're quite ostracised, are you not, for perhaps sounding quite different with your thick Scottish accent. So was it
blended in for once?
I was about to say, like, home from a day. What sort of antics did you witness afore you in Leicester Square?
Oh, with everything. I mean, so I've got my mate Gary up at sort of Euston Station, which is, you've got kind of Euston and King's Cross, which is where most of the Scotland fans were kind of filtering through. It was actually, the rain was lashing down. You thought, the atmosphere is going to be a bit of a damp squib when you're going to get to either Leicester Square or Hyde Park. We weren't sure where anyone is. So jumped in the underground, went to Leicester Square, and I'm not kidding, like, the Northern Line got to King's Cross. You could hear the Scotland fans when the doors opened. It was like, oh, this is actually all right. Get to Leicester Square. You kind of come into the kind of underground foyer area for all the barriers, and you could hear the Scotland fans above you just bouncing about, singing away. And you just like come up the stairs, and it's all the John McGinn song. It's just blaring. And you come in, you come up, see a tartan, navy blue. Everybody looks, smoke bombs going off, the whole shebang. Just beer flying everywhere. So we got to that. We were there for a couple of hours, managed to get a few tins ourselves. You were there for the atmosphere. You couldn't not look anywhere else. Some guy dressed as Nicola Sturgeon, like standing up, sort of taking the kind of chorus. He was the kind of the orchestrator, or whatever you want to call him, giving it loudy. Walked round to the kind of, like, there's always going to be a fountain. So there's one in sort of Leicester Square with William Shakespeare on the top. Inexplicably, somebody found a traffic cone that ended up on the guy's head. Nice. The guy who put it on his head fell from the top of the sort of statue into the wall. Shot him there, and that, I honestly thought he had done himself. But he got up and he ran away, and he was fine. And that, he was blind drunk, he couldn't remember. But it was absolute pandemonium. There wasn't any kind of trouble. I mean, there was no fighting or nothing like that. And no deck chairs were harmed in the operation. So it's like, that's kind of one up on us in England already. So it was good to go, man. It was absolutely brilliant.
No, for the way you describe it there, I mean, I can imagine the sun shining out of the underground station. That, like, the way you talk about the Northern Line. Have you ever seen the Californian sketches on Saturday Night Live?
Nah.
Okay, well, yeah, I'm going to send you the link, because basically they talk about all the roads that they go about in Los Angeles. So they're like, oh, we went down the 42 to get to the 331. And it reminded me of your references to all the underground lines. But no, I did see some funny clips of, like, folks falling into the fountain and stuff like that. It was good to see the fairy liquids. A guy literally being mowed over by a motorcycle because he just couldn't walk across the road properly.
Yeah, that was violent. Like,
that was not the world's greatest thing, but you know, it's nice to see it was peaceful. It was nice to see it was fun. But it was great that you were involved in it, because I know that you pretty much live for those footballing moments. And as a Falkirk and Scotland fan, you know those moments are few and far between. So you got to make the most of them while they're there.
I mean, that's comfortably, and I don't think it'll ever be beaten as one of the best footballing experiences I've ever had. Like that will never be beaten. For that level of game, for the year and a bit everybody's had, it was a release valve, and everybody just absolutely loved it. I genuinely don't know if it would have been the same, particularly after the game, if there would have been the same level of atmosphere. And if we had won, I probably still would be there having an absolute ball. But without seeing it, you would never believe it. Honestly, it was just brilliant.
No, I think that was the thing. In terms of what I thought of the game was, I've been a bit of a downer on football recently. You can tell by the hockey jerseys and stuff behind there. I've very much been preaching that I'm kind of bored of it all and stuff like that. But sitting watching 90 minutes of that game, it's like, oh, stuff this. This is the best thing ever. I mean, you're watching it, as you say, kind of through your eyes. I was like tearing my hair out and stuff like that. It was that much tension. And to have the whole country united, I think it's like the second most watched thing in the last 10, 15 years, footballing wise. So to have, and like, as well, I was hearing someone went outside and there was no sound. There was no cars, there was no one walking, nothing. Like, everyone was just inside watching it, and quite rightly so. So I think The draw was the perfect result. It kind of kept everyone happy. It put England into total turmoil on social media. It was great to see all the clips surfacing of like Rio Ferdinand having to eat his words. That like plonker that's on the True Geordie podcast talking about like 6-7-0. So it was nice to put all that to rest. So, in terms of the actual performances, if you were to put a number out of 10, Andrew, Scotland performance out of 10, what would you rate it for that game?
Just for that game, not comparing it to the previous one.
What, did I say anything about the previous game?
No. I'd probably give it a 9.
A 9? Okay.
A 9.
Right, okay. We'll
if we got a goal, it would top off for a 10, but I think 9.
Right, okay. That's interesting. John?
I would be closer to a 7.5 to an 8 out of 10. I think, the goal would have been the icing on the cake, and there were some. I don't think you can kind of hide it. There was a few scary, very scary moments at the start as we kind of settled into it. So, an 7.5 to an 8 out of 10 is probably fair.
I'm going to put it at a 7.
Maybe downer.
Joe, the thing is though, right? At the time, buzzing. I was like, lads, that was brilliant. And I do think that's borderline the best performance we have to offer. But
7 out of 10.
Well, but the thing is, right, watching the day after that, I watched Portugal against Germany, right? Either of those teams would have torn us to pieces. Like, it was on such another level, and it's laughable that England even think they're remotely in contention. And even Portugal that lost, I was like, they're scoring 4, 5, 6 against us with the sort of play those guys were playing. So that's part of the reason I put it on a 7. I still think it was brilliant. I still think it's one of the best performances we could have had, despite that coming away with no goals. So, and I think you alluded to earlier, John, like, so for example, see that John Stones header in the first half? If that goes in, we lose. There's no other way about it. If Luke Shaw has any idea, about football and what to do with it when you're remotely close to goal, we lose that game. So it was fine margins, but they did excellently. So yeah, 7 out of 10. I'll probably get slaughtered for that because I know everyone's hyped on it, but it was still a draw in a game that, and I loved actually the interviews at the end. Andy Robertson was like, "Oh, should have won it. And I'm like, yes, freaking love that guy's mentality, and like just as a captain, he's so focused, he's so driven. I was just like, yeah, that's brilliant. England out of 10, their performance, Andrew.
2, 3, probably a 3.
3. John, your recommendation?
I probably about a 3. They were really, really poor. I mean, we could dive into that as much as we could dive into the Scotland performance. As much as we done well, they were atrocious. Like we'll probably get into it a little bit more. But
we'll get into it now.
Well, the question I would ask is, if you are looking at England, would you apportion the blame at the players that were on the park, or would you apportion the blame to the manager and the system that he deployed in that game? And for me, it's the manager. I mean, that is abysmal.
I think you have to do a bit of both. I mean, I know a lot of the chatter there's been a lot of confusion about the Foden substitution, which I agreed because he did look pretty threatening. Sterling just wasn't played properly. The guy's got so much pace that, see, if you stretched our defence did not have pace. And I know people were absolutely applauding, Grant Hanley. I thought McTominay was brilliant. But if you stretched these guys with a bit of pace, it would have been easy. But just the desire. See, in the last 5-10 minutes, it was not there from them at all to go and do anything. They look bothered.
They were slow. Every single time you saw them get the ball, they were taking 3-4 touches and looking up, looking down, looking up. But if they tried to hit us in the counter, we're not going to get organised in 30 seconds. They were giving us like a minute for everyone to talk, everyone to get in the line, and then they tried to come at us, which it didn't work, obviously.
I mean, for me, I get the feeling that you certainly look at their game and they started on fire. I thought they were going to blow us away. And then we started getting a few kind of challenges. We were taking on the burden of the game. I don't think they expected that, to be honest. I think they started to believe their own hype. They became a little bit kind of arrogant going into the game. and they never expected it. It was a bit of a shock to them. And that's fair enough. I mean, as a player, you should be able to kind of get yourself going again for their level. I mean, they should never sort of not expect that. I mean, they play against these guys week in, week out. It was kind of like watching a Premier League game in a lot of respects. There was a lot of kind of that. It was hard and fast and challenges rather than a tactical game, which I found really kind of weird. I think it was that kind of game suits a Scotland team rather than playing against the Czech Republic, where tactically we were kind of done, which was really kind of weird.
I think we were a bit unlucky against Czech Republic because I thought we started that game really well, lost a super stupid goal at the end of the first half, which just ruined everything. And we won't even talk about the David Marshall goal because I've been saying to Andrew this week, like it felt like in hockey when you're losing towards the end, you pull the goalkeeper to get an extra man, on the ice, and it kind of felt like that. Like we we could have scored. That's the thing. If Jack Hendry shot, anyway, we won't dwell the past.
I won't dwell on that one, but. The kind of game mechanic kind of suited Scotland a little bit more as the game progressed, and like I say, England looked a little bit kind of shocked and didn't really know what to do with it. I blame Southgate entirely for that. If I was an England fan, I don't think his substitutions were mental. Like you say, taking off Foden didn't make sense. He set Jadon Sancho on the bench, who I would be very scared seeing him up against either one of our full backs or wing backs. Harry Kane did not look fit. He didn't look interested, so you've got to kind of question why he was in the park for as long as he was. And it didn't really seem to get Rashford into the game either, which I found kind of strange. So there's a lot of kind of things that they could have done that maybe could have had them win the game. Amazingly for us, it never happened because he's so fucking stupid. And Stevie Clark walked all over him in the grand scheme of things. He had the kind of he won the tactical battle, if you want to kind of take on to that point. Stevie Clark absolutely walked it.
Well, that's the thing. Like Stevie Clark is known, I think, for playing quite compact football, isn't he? I think Andrew, you were saying that's what he did. Well, that was evident there, and I think Scotland were in control for most of that game. I think from my perspective, in terms of our tactics, I don't like Dykes and Adams up front together. I feel like it's two target men that both offer the same thing. And if you're going to do that, you need someone to kind of run off one of them to be that threat in behind. So I actually didn't mind the selection of Christie in the first game, but I would like to see for this next one someone like Fraser, Forrest, Christie, just to offer something a wee bit different. Because I see, especially Dykes wasn't winning anything in the air. He wasn't holding the ball up well enough at all. I
don't know about that. I mean, he had a few reasonable sort of positions. Shea Adams, I think, was maybe the one that kind of looked slightly off it. He made some good runs. He had a few quite good challenges and chances as well, but they were just unlucky. I think that was the thing. If we wanted to push a little bit more, I think we probably could have. But
I don't know. I think you're right.
No problem with the two of them playing. To be honest, I think the two of them, if they're playing against I was going to say a weaker nation, which is not the right thing to kind of say for a Scotland team. But I think under different kind of mechanics, I think they would actually work really well together. Because you could see Shea Adams can actually read where Lyndon Dykes is going to try and knock it down to.
Oh, I would disagree. I thought they had no chemistry at all.
I don't think they don't work. They don't work well together. They maybe not played, but like if you compare it to him and Armstrong, when Armstrong was playing on his side, you could see he was making the runs or playing it off each other. They knew where they're going. But Dykes and Adams, it was just disconnected the full game.
I do agree though with Adams. I thought, especially at the start, his head just wasn't quite in the right place. Like a few scuffed shots, not really the power, and see if he could have channeled Stephen O'Donnell for that far post volley, not waited to bounce it and just like caressed it forward. That could have been a lot better as well. And that's going to be our biggest problem going forward because we haven't scored a goal at this tournament, and we do not make that many good quality chances. It's just not been in our game. But it was good to see Nesbitt get a run out, towards the end. Hopefully he might be a bit more clinical than the other two. I also thought I suppose we were quite conservative for good reasons, but it would have been good to see Robertson and Tierney overlapping a bit more, because that's where our best chances came if one of them was cutting in or crossing from either side. These are nitpicks because, again, I think he broadly got it right.
I mean, it was a must-not-lose game. I mean, I've no problem with that kind of thing. I mean, it's easy for us now to kind of sit and go, because I pushed. There's every chance if we had pushed, it would opened up all the space at the back for Sterling to do his thing, for Foden to look a better player. Harry Kane would have had more time. So that's a really big trade-off, and I think in the grand scheme of things, Stevie Clark did the right thing, having the tactics he had.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with that. So at the end of the game, my first thing that I wanted to do was switch from STV, where we had, was it Raman, who's like the STV news guy or something like that?
Raman Barwaj, I think his name is.
Player performance there, -4. Anyway.
To be fair, like you say -4, did you see Sky Sports' they basically broke down every player and they gave them a rating?
Yep.
They gave Billy Gilmour a 4.
Ah, okay. We'll get to that when we talk about player ratings. I don't entirely disagree with that. But
We'll get to that.
we switched over to the English coverage, and instead of Raman, who before the game said sit back and relax, and I was like, what? Who on planet Earth is sitting back and relaxing? It was just the wrong thing to say, which wound me up. David Moyes, who was just happy to be there, and John Collins. I mean, ever smooth, can't go wrong with John Collins. But compared to, was it Roy Keane, Souness?
Roy Keane, Souness, Ian Wright, I think it was.
Right. And then who did the English have on comms?
Alan Cloyston and Clive Tilsley.
And there was an English commentator as well.
Was it Martin Key? No, Martin Keown was on the BBC coverage.
BBC. I was so wait, I can't even remember.
Well,
was it not because
I never heard much of the commentary. It was certainly Tilsley, Coisty, and there was an English kind of balance to it. So there was a Scottish co-com and an English co-com, and then every now and again they kind of cut to Gary Neville and Scott Brown pitch side, which is just hilarious.
I've seen Scott Brown smiling away, like next to Gary Neville, and it's just such a Scott Brown thing to do. Again, not that the STV guys did a bad job, but I think we had Rory Hamilton.
The BT Sport guy.
He's really good. No problems with Rory Hamilton. And was it Kevin Gallagher? And I was like to my dad, who's that? And he was like, yeah, he played for Scotland. And I was like, okay. Could have done without that. So I would have, just saying, would have taken the national broadcast, or if they'd flung some of those guys into the national broadcast instead, didn't make a lot of sense.
To be fair to ITV, I mean, the lineup they did have had a reasonable balance. I mean, usually they are the most biased of them all, with Clive Tilsley in particular, but I actually think they did an okay job from what I can remember, which is very little.
Do you recall Graham Souness's teeth, John?
Nah, honestly, I can't remember much. I can only remember vaguely Ian Wright having a right good moan about Jadon Sancho not playing.
Can I just say,
yeah, beauty.
A right good moan is a good name for Ian Wright's future podcast, should he decide to do one.
Ian Wright's good moan.
There you go. I know it was good to see that. He was spot on though. And there's obviously been back and forth on like Twitter and things in the past few days that we're celebrating a draw and things like that. But yeah.
For us, it's a good result fundamentally. So
indeed. So let's go over player ratings. Shall we start with Billy Gilmour? Does that seem like a place to start?
Not a 4. Not a 4.
Maybe not a 4. Okay, so would you agree with Billy Gilmour being voted man of the match? Actually, no. I'll rephrase that question. John, who was your man of the match from the highlights you've now watched retrospectively?
Good question. John McGinn, to be honest, I know Steve Dundon had a really, really good game, but I think John McGinn covered every blade of grass. There was just something about him in that game that was a standout. He never done anything that was a standout. He was just there. He was a presence. He absolutely dominated that midfield. He did give Billy Gilmour the space to make him look like the kind of player we all kind of hope he will be, which I don't think he's too far away from being. Billy Gilmour was probably given man of the match because it was effectively his competitive debut, and he had a really, really good game. I don't think you can kind of disagree with that. And fair play to the guy. Like he's done everything we hoped he would do.
Okay, Andrew, who was your? I know you mentioned John McGinn there. Like it was good to see him getting stuck in and things like that. They had the early booking for. Why did they get the early booking again?
Calvin Phillips. He was just winding him up.
So he was just putting the fear in him, wasn't he? Aye.
Aye, but to be fair, right at the start, because he was probably Calvin Phillips was probably their standout player in the first game for them, and it was just kind of like, right, fair enough, John McGinn. But to be fair, he did get a yellow card for mouthing off, so it was a bit daft. But at the same time, you just kind of like, but he was doing the right things.
Yeah, John McGinn knows how to play the psychological games for the sound of things. Yeah.
Stephen O'Donnell helping hand.
What was that?
When he said, what was it? He said, Stephen O'Donnell, make sure you're very complimentary. Don't wind him up, but just be complimentary and say, has nice hair and nice calves to Grealish.
Quite right.
But,
what a fair.
Kill him with kindness. It worked.
Oh, and he's when he kicked him. Oh, sensational. Sensational. So who would your man of the match be, Andrew?
I'm going to say Grant Hanley.
Okay, a few people
because
would
I
say
thought he was good in the air. He did absolutely nothing wrong. He's impressed me so far. So I'm sticking with Grant Hanley.
Yeah, for me, and I think a lot of people disagreed with this, but I thought Scott McTominay, especially in the second half, was excellent. And without him, he was literally a brick wall for that last minute scramble in front of the goal mouth. There's some really funny memes of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Have you seen that?
No, it's Terry Jeffords.
Terry Crews, and he's got like the three guys like Lasoda. I was just like, yeah, that's spot on. I do think he was part of the questionable positioning for the Stones header in the first part, but at centre back, I thought he was brilliant and just showing up any problems. Yeah, my critiques with Gilmour, which seems to be the biggest controversy here, is that I think this was highlighted most in the BBC highlights after the game. They talked about, and again, brilliant debut. Do I think he made many mistakes? No, not at all. So I think you can draw a line under it there and say, you've done really well. Do I think he's the best thing since sliced bread? I think we need to hold off judgment on that, because overhyping someone does nobody any good. Like, who as a footballer has been overhyped in the past and actually delivered? Very, very few.
We're all playing in white.
Well, yes, I know. And I would hesitate to say, his Chelsea career is going well, but I still think that's failing the balance. So, in terms of what I saw, they talked about, he was good at moving the ball forward and things like that. I think he did a lot of the simple things well. There was a lot of good short passes. He was kind of orchestrating a lot of triangular moves and things like that. Nothing too fancy, nothing too complex. It's all fairly basic football. Okay? Do I think that he was beaten about by Mason Mount and that Mason Mount probably won that battle? Yes, I do. Because there is a good clip of him running back, chasing Mason Mount and badgering him and things like that. Did he win the ball from that? No, he still didn't get the ball. So I do think he was outdone in the midfield by him. Also,
I think he was outdone, but he's every single time he'd nip at his heels. And even if he wasn't catching him, he was putting him away from the goal.
Yes, but on the contrary to that, he fouled Harry Kane by not kicking him hard enough, frankly. Like, it was an intentional foul and he didn't even land him down. I was like, come on, Billy. Put the foot through. You don't want to wind
Harry Kane up. He was playing bad enough, so he was just being nice. No point in trying to fire him up.
No, but that is my critique of Billy Gilmour. Let's temper our expectations a wee bit. A great debut. Didn't make many mistakes. He was not the best player in that park. Just saying.
No, but I think in terms of you need to take into account what age he is, and it is Scotland versus England.
I showed more maturity than I've got, and I'm 27.
Okay, we're not having you in the centre of the park anytime soon, John. So, other interesting performances. I think Tierney did not look like he was injured in any way, shape, or form.
No.
That was back to standard performances. You mentioned Phil O'Donnell earlier.
Phil?
No, Stephen O'Donnell, sorry. Who you have to give massive props to come back from. Now, I don't know whether he didn't look on social media at all the slating he was getting, or whether he's just showed the mettle to turn up and go, right, this is what I can do. I can't be critical of Stephen O'Donnell at all. I thought the chance he took was probably the best composure anyone had shown in that whole game, and he was very unlucky not to score that. It was a great save from... Did Pickford save it? I think he did, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He didn't quite well to it.
So deeply unlucky to score. And yeah, we're all back on side for him now after being, why? Why are you there?
Oh, it's really awkward now, though. When we do eventually go and talking about the Croatia game, that I actually think we might need somebody like James Forrest playing as right wing back, which is like you just can't drop him now, which is not great.
Well, because I watched that tennis episode the other day with Pat Nevin. I freaking love Pat Nevin, by the way. He's just the most knowledgeable person about football. And he talked about that string theory, like when, Robertson goes forward, you need that person to defend back. And that guy was O'Donnell. And but that frustrates me a bit because, again, to your point, that makes us quite lopsided going forward in that we really only have one threat, which is Robertson, essentially.
Yeah. The biggest difference we're now going to have, though, and I'm dragging us off topic, but we're now going to have Tierney and Robertson rather than just Robertson, what it was in the Czech Republic game. So I do think the Czech Republic game lacked Kieran Tierney for our attacking threat a little bit. So if you're following Pat Nevin's string theory, having Tierney as part of that now, I think might make it a little bit more worthwhile. So it'll be interesting to see if that's the kind of path we follow down.
It'll be interesting to see, but that you make a good point in that we're going to need to score goals against Croatia. This a 1-0 victory is probably not going to be enough.
Nah, it's just not enough.
I think that would put us on. So Switzerland currently, Wales have gone through, so congratulations to them. They currently continue to make Scotland look like a total embarrassment of a sporting nation.
Or tennis, mate.
Well, did you say tennis or terrorists? Tennis. All right, okay, very good. You watch. The next Welshman will come and win Wimbledon next year. You said that. So yeah, the Switzerland third in their group are on 4 points and goal difference of -1, I think. -1, -2.
-1. Yep.
So we currently sit on -2. So yeah, you're going to have to win by at least 2 clear goals, which against Croatia is not an easy ask. Who drew against the Czech Republic at Hampden, same circumstances, they're familiar with the stadium. And it was a shambles that they... Have you seen the Czech Republic Croatia game either of you?
Nope.
Yeah.
Shambles of a VAR decision.
Yeah.
I think it's Lovren. Lovren's got up with his elbows like that, but nothing unusual. He elbowed Schrick.
Yep.
In the face. Penalty, yellow card. Most shocking decision. They should have won that game. So, and they are going to be freaking going for it as well, like we are. So, this is a point that we're going to have to. He is going to have to change his game plan and go for goals, and that is when we could really be undone.
Yep.
All or nothing, though.
Well, or do you stay patient and just try and make your chances? And
I think he'll definitely stay patient because if you look at the way that he's had, even if you just compare it to the time at Kelly, he would never really go for a game. He'd take the draws, but I know you were desperate and he'll probably throw the kitchen sink at it for the last 20, but I don't see for any more than 20 minutes for him throwing everything at that game because for 70 minutes he'll try and keep them as composed as he can.
We'll see. So in terms of our starting lineup for that next game, hands up if you're keeping. Okay, so you're keeping. Hands up if you're keeping it the same.
I don't know.
What are you changing, John? You taking?
I do think he's going to change the front line. To be honest, I don't know if he'll play Dykes in the game. I think Che Adams will start. I wouldn't be surprised at all if it's Stuart Armstrong or Ryan Christie who'll be in support. I don't think it'll be Ryan Fraser, and I don't think it'll be James Forrest. Will Billy Gilmour start?
For that.
I think the midfield will stay the same, although it's now effectively going into 3 games, and it's that's a lot of kind of energy. The back 5 will stay the same. I can't see him changing that at all now that Tierney's back. McTominay, he had a shaky start to the England game, but he came onto it. He settled back in. And you can't drop Davy Marshall, so there's maybe one change in there. I think Dykes for Armstrong.
Would you, at the start of the tournament, committed to Marshall over Craig Gordon?
I would have, to be honest. Yeah.
I mean, there's one man that settles all of this, and it's Alan McGregor, but he's obviously no option. So,
yep.
But nonetheless, yeah, it sounds good. I would again change that front line a wee bit, and beyond that, big tech. I know it sounds like I've been incredibly critical, but I am actually very pleased and very excited about it. Which is why, in my excitement on Friday night, which it might sound like I was being incredibly pessimistic, watch my wording there, but in fact, incredibly excited. I got straight on the JD Sports website because it's a freaking cartel and there's only one place that you can get one of these proper shirts. So, it's time for the quiz. Right, okay. This week's quiz is going to be a yes or no quiz. Okay, so I'm going to move my keyboard out of the way. I'm going to get my notepad down. So, John and Andrew, you have to guess what name I got on the shirt, what number I got on the shirt. You also have to guess whether it was the home or away Scotland shirt which I purchased. Okay, now, every answer you receive a yes to will gain you a point. Okay, so these are yes-no questions. They could be to narrow it down, or they could be guesses. Every time you get an answer no, you lose a point, irrespective if it helps you get closer to the draw or not. Every time I say no, you lose a point. If you guess correctly the number, the name, or the shirt, you get 5 points. Okay? Not over and above the 1 point. That the 1 point doesn't exist for the yes answer. It's 5 points. Okay. If you guess incorrectly the name, the number, or the type of shirt, you lose 5 points. Okay.
I will see where this goes.
This is an incredibly complex numbering scheme.
Just to guess the name on the back of a shirt. Like,
well, this is the most entertaining way I thought I could expand the quiz out. So, John, you've won most of the quizzes, so I'll let you start here. What is your first question?
Was it the away top?
Yes, you get 5 points right away. 5. Andrew, next question is yours.
Is the number and the name the same as the player, or have you changed the number? Oh wait, no.
That's not a question at all. I don't understand.
It is.
What do you mean? Say again?
So you're saying we need to guess the number and the name?
Yes.
Is the number and the name matching what the player has on the pitch? Just one player?
Yes.
Okay.
1 point.
Just a squad player, okay.
John?
Well, I was going to say is it number 4 Charlie Mulgrew, but that's obviously not going to be correct.
Oh, and exciting news, he's coming back to Scotland! So I'll be going to every Dundee United away game next year, standing as close as I can to him and hurling abuse for full 90 minutes.
Right, so I am going to say it is... I'm actually going to say is it number 4 Scott McTominay.
I'm going to deduct you 10 points there, John.
No, right.
Because you incorrectly guessed the name and the number. So you're now in minus 5. Andrew leads on 1. If only the Euros point scheme was more like this. Right, Andrew, back to you.
Oh, right. Have they... I'm not going to guess. Have they ever played for Aberdeen?
Yes, 1 mark.
Can I take a guess?
No, it's back to John now.
I can't think of what current player is on that team that's played for Aberdeen. Who would have been mad enough to play for Aberdeen?
Just ask your question.
I don't know.
John, come on.
Time.
Crapper, get off the pot.
Time. Nah, I'm crapping. Right, there we go.
Right, okay. John, you lose a point for negligence. You're now on minus 6. Andrew, back to you.
Oh,
I'm gonna guess the name.
Go for the name first.
I'm now starting to doubt myself.
I've got it. I'm not going to win it. I'll end up with -1, but...
Fraser. Did you get Ryan Fraser on the back?
No, minus 5.
I know who it is.
I still don't know who it is because I was going to say Ryan Fraser.
John, come on, we're getting there. We're getting there.
I legit have no idea. Oh, Christie 20.
No, that's minus 10 again. You're on like minus 10, minus 11, John. Andrew, you're on
I'm
minus,
minus 21.
you're on minus 3, yeah.
How many Aberdeen players is there?
No, but
Now-
this is the problem. I think you've answered a question wrong.
No,
Have you not?
no.
So it's not Fraser, it's not Christie.
It's not Fraser, it's not
Fraser,
Christie.
It's
A
not
player
Volvo.
player that played with Aberdeen. Okay.
Okay.
Now,
In the current squad.
I don't know. Someone will have to ask that question.
It's my
Probably,
question.
yeah.
But right. So you said they played with Aberdeen.
Yes.
Right. Okay. That's fine. Because I can't technically guess that name because they've not played for Aberdeen. So.
Oh,
I'm just going to guess. Is it Gallagher?
No. Minus 5. John,
the Constantine.
5 points to John.
You said in the Scotland team.
Correct. He's on
No.
the lined-up.
You said, have they been in the squad? Yes, they've been in the squad. They're not in the squad for the Euros, but they've been in the squad. Right,
Is it is it
back to you for the number, Andrew.
number 3?
No.
Oh,
Minus 5.
Four.
No. Minus 5. Right, I'm going to give you one more guess at the number. It is the number he wore for Scotland.
Aye, number
23.
4.
Andrew, you get 5 points for the number.
that's probably not enough though.
23. Right, Andrew. 1, 2. So you lost 15, gained 7, for a total of 8 points.
This is worse than QI.
I knew the numbering scheme would be a problem. John, you lost 10, 25, 26. You gained 5 and 10, so you're on minus 16 points. Andrew, you have won the quiz. Well done, Andrew.
Hey.
A rendition of Yes Sir I Can Boogie is what now John has to do as a forfeit because of Andrew Considine's.
With
I'll
the full
post a
apparel.
I'll post a video later.
Okay, I'm going to hold you to that. Definitely. Yeah, Andrew Considine, the man responsible for Yes Sir I Can Boogie, partially responsible for getting us to the tournament. Number 23, I thought was pretty cool as a number. Billy Gilmour was also the player at the tournament to wear it. But yeah, he's probably never going to play for Scotland again. It's a stronger Aberdeen connection than someone like Scott McKenna, Ryan Christie, Ryan Fraser.
Oh, I forgot about McKenna.
I think McKenna is in the
yeah.
squad.
Is it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I knew
Yes.
that.
So sorry I was a bit sly and underhand with, being in the squad. He has been in the squad. He's just not in the current squad. There we go. So, elsewhere in the tournament, that was good fun, by the way. I thoroughly enjoyed that.
Like you did.
Elsewhere in the tournament, what have we seen? What have we been watching? John, what else have you seen from the tournament so far?
I think I've seen near enough. I think I've seen every team for sure.
Who's
I've only
your
missed two or three games.
Who's your pick for the strongest? I think this is fairly obvious at the moment, but
Well, the thing is, I would say Italy. Italy is looks like the strongest team. However, they have not played a good team yet.
but Wales, mate. What are you talking about?
They did okay against Wales this afternoon, but not brilliant by any stretch. I mean, it was a much changed squad as well, our team lineup. They blew Turkey apart, although as it transpires, Turkey weren't as good as everyone expected them to be.
Yeah.
And the same with Switzerland. Again, I think there was the greater expectation going into the ties. So Italy at the moment for me, slight favourites. I think they've got an easier sort of pathway as well. I don't think they cross a really big team till really later on. I would have said France if they hadn't looked quite so kind of starstruck against Hungary, which was just bizarre. So you would expect France to get better. I expect Italy to kind of carry on as they are, and the two of them to kind of maybe meet in the final. I don't know what the full pathway looks like, but that could be possible.
Wait and see. Andrew, any picks that stand out for you?
Oh, I was going to go for Portugal up until I saw their left and right back causing serious issues defensively.
Yeah,
because Germany found that hole very quickly and they just exploited it to no end. So I'm not going to say Portugal. Hungary have been a shock for me how well they've actually played, but I'm probably still going to stick with France at the end of the day because even if they did look a bit sluggish, but the thing is they've had a wake-up call. Italy haven't had a wake-up call yet.
Yeah, that's the thing.
So
I must say, like, France are definitely going to be the team scoring the most offside goals. Like, Mbappe and all that are just, they're always on that very last inch and that last millimetre. Yep. I did think that they do lack a bit of that killer instinct finishing in terms of Griezmann missed loads of glorious chances against Hungary that he should have buried. And again, a lot of the offside goals, you know, I don't rate Benzema. I think Giroud is a legend of football and massively underrated, and I'd like to see him in the team a bit more. Again, after I watched Germany against Portugal, they were just so clinical. But then we didn't really see that when they were playing France. So, you know, it's all up in the air. The Hungary game was cool because of the celebration and them just absolutely smashing down on that media table. And that woman was like, I think she was a Spanish media woman or something.
She looked petrified.
She was like, what's going on here? Yeah, absolutely wasn't watching the match. It was very much what I used to do when I was announcing at Falkirk. But yeah, I thought the Hungary goalie, the Leipzig goalie, was incredible against France. Absolutely fantastic goalkeeper he is. So that's a steal. Yeah, so watching big teams.
Have you seen much of Spain? Spain were very disappointing in their two games.
Morata is just...
Where's he even play?
Oh,
is he in America these days or Canada?
No, he's in Spain, but I can't remember who for.
Morata. He was at Atletico. He was at Juventus. Did he go back to Juventus? No,
I thought he was in the States.
Oh, he
Morata had no chance. Are you thinking of Higuain?
Yeah.
When Spain have been poor, I've watched both their games against Sweden and Poland as well. Both times this is a really stretched comparison, so I do apologise. But this is like watching the Falkirk under John Hughes at the end of this sort of time. It is squaring back passes everywhere, nothing going forward. And I mean nothing. This is like, it's almost like we'll play pure football, but we'll not actually do anything with it. It's horrific watching, and I hate it, and I get scary flashbacks every time to watching Burton O'Brien, and it's like, I don't know who's in the midfield for Spain. It's absolutely dreadful. Hate every moment of it.
I think we've got the title for this episode.
Honestly, man, see, when you watch it, it's like you just see it's slightly quicker, but it's the same garbage in front of you. We'll pass it to the defensive midfielder. Now we'll just pass it back to the centre back, and then we'll maybe play it out to the left back or the right back. But then I'll just come back to the defensive midfielder again. They don't go anywhere. Fucking awful viewing. Like, nah, I'll be glad to see the back of it.
So what you're telling us is Luis Enrique and John Hughes went for a coffee and he's got the wrong tactics now. Aye.
And Enrique's beat the Yogi Hughes school of passing the ball, and it's not very good.
I couldn't even imagine them having a conversation.
If you'd like to read the extended article on John Brown's tactical thoughts as to why Spain are like Falkirk under Yogi Hughes and how Burton O'Brien compares to Alvaro Morata, Piqué, whoever it was.
Piqué, I don't even know who was in that midfield. That's the biggest problem with Spain just now as well. They don't have the same level of superstar anymore that you can properly kind of relate to in that team. It's quite disappointing to kind of see that they always had their golden generation, but they never followed up with anything. I think you can compare that to like maybe what kind of Germany's doing, but Germany have a few quite good kind of young talented guys coming through. I don't necessarily see that coming from Spain at the moment.
I barely knew any of the guys in their team watching that Poland game the other night. I was like, I've never heard of you. And I know I've not been keeping up with football as much, but they're just not, as you say, on the big international. But, you know, group of young guys, you know, growing up out of the spotlight, that could be good for them in years to come.
Yep. Maybe when they're
not
Villarreal.
Yeah, no, not now. Hey, Villarreal won the Europa League. You know, beat Man United and all that jazz. So, yeah, happy days. It is getting exciting towards the sharp end. We'll see how things fan out. And as you say, Turkey kind of been duds this tournament, so we shall see. Anyway, shall we get to some of our tier rankings for some of the Euro home kits?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
So, what I'm going to do is I was going to use like the tier list thing that you can go and make your own templates, but that required a login, and I was like, I'm just not getting you my information. So, we're going to wing it, and I'm going to try some screen sharing. And these guys are going to select a nation for me. It could be a kit that they think is cool. It could be a kit that they think sucks. And we will argue it out as to whether it goes into top tier. You'd absolutely be paying 65 quid for this. You would put the Euro 2020 patches on. Yeah, who'd be dumb enough to do that, right? Yeah, I did that too. Then you've got I'll wait until it goes on sale. I'd be happy if someone gave me it, or if this was in a mystery box, I'd literally chuck it out, or stick with your away kit. So we'll stick with those different tiers in terms of banging, pay the 65 quid, buying it on sale, take it if it's a surprise mystery box, or wear the away kit, bin it. So, John, since you're such a loser, do you want to pick a nation's home kit for me? And we'll go through, discuss it, and you'll tell us where you're going to put it.
I think we'll get the obvious one out of the road, that it's got to be the Italy top for this year. Absolute god tier. I'd pay the money for it.
Okay.
Absolutely beautiful.
So, if I share my screen, we should hopefully see the Italy kit. Yay! We should hopefully see it up in front of us just now.
That's beautiful, mate.
Top bins, that pattern, the colour of the Italy. That's true. It's always glorious with the Gold Puma logo and the badging. Collar? What do we think of collars?
I quite like that collar, actually.
They're classic, so I don't mind.
I like collars. Always bug me because it makes it difficult to wear under something that's like a hoodie or like a cardigan, like a zip top. Like, I just feel that collared things have to be worn as like t-shirts, but maybe that's just my phobia of it. So you're sticking this top bins then, John?
Oh, 100%. That's the best kit of the tournament.
Andrew, where are you sticking it?
Top bins.
Yeah, I agree. With those 4 stars, nice to see as well. So it goes in. Paying the £65 for it. Is anyone actually paying the £65 for it though?
No.
Nah, not at the moment.
No.
I'll get a fake one.
Yeah, there you go, Andrew. There you go. Right, Andrew, do you want to select a kit for us now?
Wait, is this meant to be like one that I would actually put right up the top, or could it be anywhere?
Be anyone.
Oh, anywhere.
Austria bugs me.
Right.
Yeah, I've got once to sever this.
Right, hold on, bear with. Let's share screen this time. Share. Hey, there's the top half of the Austria kit. Hopefully the video is showing this now.
I think it was have you got the away one? No.
We're talking about home kits today. Hold on.
Is it home?
Oh, is this the dark blue and green one?
It's like the black one, but they've got there's like every single team they play is there, and there's a tiny Austria badge. And it just if you look at that, it will take you probably about a minute to work out which nation it is.
It doesn't look very small.
Obvious.
Right, hold on. Stop sharing screen. I mean, this is smooth. Right, I've got it up on my screen just now. If we share that again. Boom. So this is the kit you're talking about?
No, they must have changed it.
Yeah, that's last year's.
Oh, wait. Is this with the... Oh, wait a minute. That.
When we get to Switzerland, it's the same template.
Okay. This is the new... Forgive me for going to the JD website. Can you still see this?
Yes.
No. I can't, but that's fine.
No notifications. Aye. Okay, so it says Österreich on the top instead of the logo? Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah, it doesn't look great.
It. But I know exactly what it is. I just don't like it. I really don't. I think in terms of like a nation, it has to be obvious straight away. Yeah, that's it. That is just... It looks like it's trying too hard to be sort of like trendy.
Yeah, those Puma ones suck.
Like, you go from like the Italy one to that one. Like, the difference is just Italy classic. They've done it really, really well.
But the Italy away one's the same as this.
The Italy away top is that template. But I don't care about that because they've spent all the effort on the home top.
Yeah.
Austria have put no effort into either.
But even if they put like the Puma badge in the normal place and then the actual Austria flag there, then it would look a lot nicer. But it doesn't need to be this daft.
Austria could have done what Denmark have done for their both home and away kit, is kind of like either the red on red or black on black.
Yeah.
So you had like the black on black Austria badge with the kind of silhouette as well throughout the top. It would look a lot better. So Puma, give me a call. We'll get this sorted.
There's a lot of Puma in this tournament, to be fair. So where are you sticking that one, Andrew?
I wouldn't buy it. No, just leave it in a bin somewhere.
I would buy the home top if it was on sale.
I think the home top. I actually don't hate that one. Like, if someone gave it to me as a surprise, I'd be like, yeah, cool, because I like the dark logos and things like that. Again, the fact that it says Ostrike on it, like, is a bit different. But if I got a mystery box, I'd be disappointed. Is the tier I'd put it in. So not the bottom tier, but like second to bottom tier. Right. Shall I go with my kit now? I don't know if you'll have seen this one before. Are you familiar with that one?
Who's that?
Well, I tell you, it's John again, but who's on the left, John?
That's Aaron Cuthbert.
Oh, well done. Well done. Caught me out there with your wonderful footballing knowledge. Now, as you know from earlier, I bought the away kit. Anything that's of that lighter blue shade, I absolutely love. I think it's sick. This, I don't hate. And actually, as someone who like edits a lot of sound and Audacity and stuff, I kind of like the sound waves. Do I think it's the best Scotland home kit of recent history? No, I don't. I think that the white sleeved one with the sort of tartan, really nice, spot on.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking back earlier today of some of the like the Diadora ones with like, you know, that white unbalanced one. That's just the classic.
The white with the powder blue saltire is. Okay. If somebody has that extra large and they're willing to sell it, like, give me a shout. I'm looking for it desperately.
Good luck with that one. I think even if you go back to, I really like the late 90s ones that had the hint of purple tartan in them as well. It would be cool to see them go back to that at some point. I think it was the last kit we wore at the Euros as well, so that would have been cool to see. For me, I think I would buy this if it were on sale. I wouldn't like rush out and put this like absolute top tier. It's like just a little bit below. I don't hate it, but what do we think?
If somebody gave me it as a gift, I certainly wouldn't complain. The top just looks like the same top I wore on Friday night after it was lashing down with rain. It's just kind of weird watermarks kind of running around the side of it. I don't know. It's strange. I don't know what to feel about it. Like, it's a Scotland top, so I must like it, but I'm not going to pay for it.
So the thing is, it's going to be one of the most purchased ones, like, across the board. They'll be flying off the shelves right now.
What makes up for it is the away kit, which is just stunning.
It is sick. I will send pictures to the Sofa Manager Instagram account if it arrives. Statistically, I'd like to know how many people have got Considine on the back of there. So if you do, leave a comment in the section, or if you did get a name and number on the back, let us know. Andrew, if you were getting a name and number, what would you go for?
Scotland-wise, I'd probably go for Grant Hanley.
Boring. Okay.
No, he's been the fastest player Scotland's had all this tournament. So I'm saying.
True. John, who would you go for?
I'd just get my own name in the back. As
what number?
10, probably.
Boo.
I could get Brown 8 if you want and just be really weird.
You need to get an Aberdeen top with Brown 8 on the back. Oh dear, see how you wear that. In other news closer to home, did you see the Falkirk teasers on Twitter today, John, of the new kits incoming?
Yes, I don't know about you, Andrew, but I have the rational fear that our home kit is not going to be navy blue next season.
I don't think you've seen the second post.
No.
I probably haven't.
The second post is navy blue with white stripes. Like it's kind of like pinstriped.
Oh,
So
that's
you're
like
looking, you're
it's like
going
the
back to
coasters
like
one.
the TFG ones.
Nah, so that's like coasters. I'm sure there's a one that's like that. It's pinstripe.
For
I
the rest of
kinda
our
like
viewers,
the look of
that's the away one. Ish, you can kind of see it. It's like light blue.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens.
I,
Do you know what?
I think it will be nice. I do. I've got high hopes for tomorrow, but we'll find it for the 21st.
Well, I was looking, and again, I said earlier, I like the light blue kits. Like, my favourite Aberdeen kit is that sort of light blue shade of colour. I wasn't that mad about them changing away from the navy blue. I thought it made a nice change. I would actually say to them, right, you need to earn the navy blue colours, right? Until you're out of this freaking league, you're not getting the navy blue back, right? Earn that colour. But I know a lot of fans were like, if it's no navy, I'm not buying it. Just plain navy. None of this pattern rubbish anymore. Just give me a plain navy vulgar job.
Yeah.
Which just seems what they've done with the home kit, so we'll see what turns out.
Yeah, I think it's not. They've had a bit more time this season, so hopefully they go back to what it has been the few years before that, because it has been pretty decent.
We will see. We will stay tuned for another tier list incoming for light blue kits that are in League One, which I think is many. They're not going to be wearing that away kit against Forfar. I thought Montrose was light blue, but I think...
It's dark blue.
Is it? I feel like there was another light blue team. Maybe it was a League Two. I don't know, getting confused. Anyway, do we have any other points we want to bring up this week?
Nah, we're good, mate.
Good. Great chat. So on that note, thank you if you've managed to listen to us this far. If you have done so, please like and subscribe. It helps us out loads on the video. Follow us on all our social media channels, not challenges. You can tell the vaccine's kicking in. On Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and you can check out the website sofamanager.co.uk for all the Euros coverage. There were some great preview and group sort of roundups that got up on there, and eagerly anticipating John's Spain John Hughes comparison. So it is a thank you very much for listening from myself, Paul.
Cheers, guys. All the best.
Thank you.
And have a good evening, a good afternoon, and a good morning. Goodbye.